Check, 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 check. Make sure the sound comes through. Thanks. Check, 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 check. Make sure the sound comes through. Thanks. All right. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever this finds you. This is our first go-around with YouTube Live. Well, that's not necessarily true. I think we used to do some live streams when we do actual plays when Google Plus and Hangouts were kind of integrated into each other. But this is the first time I've done a Saturday with Sean format. Prior to this, did it on Twitch. So we're trying YouTube Live. So some of you might say, well, why are you trying YouTube Live? How come you're not doing it on Twitch? Well, we haven't moved completely. I mean, we've always had YouTube, and it's still kind of up in the air. I don't know if we want to stick with YouTube or, do live on Twitch, recordings on YouTube. The reason I'm trying it out. I say we. Brett kind of goes with the flow. So, Twitch is. So I've probably been influenced a little bit from other individuals in the streaming space. I'm a big fan of Harris Heller. If you don't know who Harris is, he does a lot of his channel is the Alpha Gaming channel, and he has done quite a lot of videos. Hey, K Rise, morning. He's done a lot of videos on streaming No, he's Twitch and YouTube prior, I guess, and he would talk about what cameras to use for streaming, lots of product reviews, how to stream, OBS stuff, and things of that nature. And over time, he's looked at YouTube as a more viable option long term, and has been, I guess, critical of Twitch would be a good word. So with YouTube's shorts discoverability, the live option, it does have some shortcomings that Twitch does have. And there's also some, that you're always hearing about folks on Twitch. There was the blackout day that everybody was not going to stream on Twitch because of the hate raids. And Twitch had done, at that point, very small amount in trying to curtail that. If you're not familiar with a hate raid, on Twitch, you typically raid different channels. What some people would do, trolls mainly, would go on there and raid a person of color stream with just vitriol and hatred and stuff, and it wasn't cool, and moderating that was not easy, and so they were protesting Twitch because of that and their lack of response to it. There's also been a lot of DMCA takedowns on Twitch. They are now working with the National Music Publishers Association to try to allow some type of licensing agreement. Not quite sure what the details are, so I don't want to get into too much, but I think they've worked something out, but I don't know what that is. So there's just been a lot of things in the Twitch sphere that's just hasn't been going well for some of the streamers over there. We don't have 1 million people over there. We don't make $1,000, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. We're not, Ninja or Tim the Tap Man, who ironically enough has moved to YouTube as well. So we don't have anything to lose really by moving to YouTube and seeing from Twitch. We'll see. I think the platform's fine, and it might do more for us. I don't know. We have more followers and subscribers on YouTube than we do Twitch. But we will probably, anyways, that's a little of the story. So I'm giving YouTube a try before our actual live show that we record on Mondays for Brett and I. So if you're not familiar and this is your first time on our YouTube channel, BS is Brett and Sean. We do a tabletop RPG podcast, and it's about an hour long. We've got 4 kind of segments. Initially, the intro is usually where we talk about some of the gaming we've had in the last week, some announcements. Then we get into Random Encounter, which has to do with fielding emails, voicemails, comments from social media, probably about a previous episode's topic. We'll fish those off of Twitter. We'll get them off of our forums. People will write in. They'll call in voicemails. Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool, K-Rise. Appreciate it. Did you just find it on Apple Podcasts, or did somebody recommend it? Just kind of curious how you might have found us. And then going back to the format of the show, we do then the main topic, which will be RPG. We're agnostic, though. In some of our episodes, we lean pretty heavy on D&D. And then we have a segment called Die Roll, where it's 2 to 4 miscellaneous points of gaming and geekery. Usually it's highlighting Kickstarters, promotions, RPG inspiration, articles, anything that tabletop role-playing gamers might be interested in but may not know about, and putting those out there. So we typically would record that live on Twitch. That's been going on for maybe a year now. It's not too long. We did some older episodes where Brett and I recorded each other on RPG DMing podcast search. Oh, nice. Cool. Good to know. Search is tough on podcasts. It's hard to do a search and get what you want because there isn't really a good search piece. Google is probably getting there if you're an Android user, but still, there's a lot of podcasts that don't have websites. There's podcasts that don't have a lot of search engine optimization. So unless Google actually listens to the podcast, translates it somehow, then it may determine. But the title tag and that is pretty limited. And I thought some places like Apple Podcasts don't look a lot at the body of the podcast and the description. But regardless. So going back to the show, we did record some videos, put them up on YouTube, where Brett would record himself, I'd record myself, and then I'd put the video together. We thought, well, if we're going to record audio every week anyway, why don't we just do it live, and then I'll take the audio part, put it out as an audio podcast, and that's been working for us for quite a while. And I record in a way that allows me to have a backup in case the audio doesn't come across well out of the video, and vice versa. So anyways, yeah, we'll see how this goes. There's a little bit of time difference between live and the chat. That's going to due to the latency. I may turn that down in the future. So the nice thing with YouTube is you can turn up or down the latency. There's 3 settings. So if you want to be like real time as you talk, the chat gets it. But the video takes a little bit of a hit. If you are recording in like 4K, then you need a high amount of latency, and you only get 2 of the 3 options, more than you might want to know. But anyways, so kind of going with the middle of the road, kind of the same delay as Twitch. Good morning, Jim. So Saturdays, if you haven't tuned into a Twitch live Saturday show, which usually is just recorded on Twitch and then it's gone in a week, this is going to stay around on YouTube until we just delete it. Another kind of benefit. What I get on here is just talk about RPG stuff, things that are coming up in the hobby, news articles. Last week we went through like some of the Ennies and Ennie awards, as well as some of the publisher sizes, tiers, how the big ones like Paizo and Wizards hadn't submitted to the Ennies, and then for Free League is coming up as like a pretty big force in the hobby. Almost, where do you cut kind of the tiers off, right? You got Green Ronin, Paizo, Wizards, Talsorian Games. What else? I mean, just a whole bunch of them, right? Frog God. And then how do you kind of put them into certain buckets as far as like their size, market share, things of that nature. A lot of armchair stuff on this stream. So today, and most of the times I really don't have a ton of material to kind of go through. I usually rely on the banter that comes in from the chat and what they're talking about and what they're seeing and what their opinions are and thoughts are. So that's one thing that may be a bit of a change going from Twitch to YouTube, is some of those folks may not know we're on YouTube and then they don't get notified or they're not subscribed to YouTube and etc. So the chat might be a little bit smaller than usual. So we get typically anywhere between maybe 5 and 15 people pretty steady every Saturday. So speaking of Free League, good transition. Thanks, K-Rise. So if you haven't seen the news, I'll here get some into. If you haven't seen the news, I don't need this up. What I need is, I'm going to put this up, I think. So if you haven't seen the news, Free League, and if you're not on their email list, you should probably do that, announced their RPG for Blade Runner. Of course, now all the news outlets got wind of it, so now I can't find the actual official posting. So what are the thoughts on Blade Runner as an RPG? You might not have ever seen Blade Runner. Totally get it. Might not like the movie. Might like the game. You might not like the movie, therefore you're not going to like the game. Totally get it. I'm going to see if I could find their actual... Let's see if I can just do Free League. Blade Runner. There's an actual website to the game. Videos. Wargamer. Great. Oish. I know it's in our Discord because I pointed it out in promos. Let me move my Discord out of there. So let's see if I can find it. Oh my goodness. Sometimes you don't realize how much is posted to your Discord until you have to scroll backwards and find it. Here we go. YouTube. And somebody just posted to the YouTube channel. This video is cool. Here we go. We'll just go to the official website. Electric Dreams, good to see you. Can someone give me some advice on how to chop down Lost Mines of P into a shorter one-session one-shot for some complete RPG noobs? Maybe. We'll see if we get some time. Electric Dreams, and welcome. You know, Electric Dreams, a good spot for that question would be our Discord. If you go to gamingabs.com/Discord, there's a channel that we talk about. It's dedicated to your game. My game is what it's called. And the purpose of that channel is to post your game, whether you need advice, plot points, you know, handling something specific to your game, mechanics, what have you. Anyway, so Blade Runner, the role-playing game. They've got a video trailer. It's pretty cool. It's similar to... You know, it's artwork that kind of moves. I don't know if I would call it straight video, but they use the kind of the music from the movie. So you can see this is kind of a interesting rendition of... I don't know if I could show this on YouTube, but regardless, if you want to go ahead and check it out, it's pretty cool. Here's the overview. Oops. I would probably have to say that I will probably pick this up. Most of you know that I'm a big Free League fan. I've got Tales from the Loop, which I haven't run yet. Shame on me. I've got Forbidden Lands, which I'm currently running. I've got Alien and Coriolis. I think those are the ones that I think that's all of them that I own. Blade Runner is an interesting one because I like the movie. I don't remember the second one very well. I like the setting. I like the kind of premise. Some people would say this is the cyberpunk game for them because they're not a Shadowrun cyberpunker, or they, you know, we had one individual that says they're not into the pink mohawk cyberpunk. it's almost noir, right? Police noir. Decker talks to himself, thinks to himself throughout the movie in the original. So it'll be interesting to see how they port some of the unspoken technology for that era into the game. You know, what does the Blade Runner universe look like beyond the movies? So I gotta say, they get some good backing. Alien, decent IP. Nobody wanted to touch it. They took it on. Got recognized for some Emmys. They used the Year Zero engine. Fantastic, I guess. Well, mixed reviews. Some people will say it's really awesome for this, but not really great for that. Certainly fine. But, you know, to get this and potentially, when you're dealing with it, IP, the nice thing about it is my voice squeaks for some reason because I'm going through puberty. If you can get a significant amount of support from, you know, the production studio, right? The movie production studio and things of that nature, they can get great art. Star Wars is awesome, but, you know, I don't know how easy it is to work with Lucasfilm. I know when Wizards of the Coast had it, they did okay, and then there was like, even their Living Force campaign was on the cusp of ending when episode 1, 2, and 3 were coming out. So they had to kind of cease the campaign because the campaign took place before the Jedi Purge. So how is that going to affect the Living Force campaign? And it delayed it for months because they needed to wait on Lucasfilm to approve some of the things or even just get an understanding of what the timeline was going to look like. So we'll see. What's up, Phil? Glad you can make it over. This might be a pass for me. Not a Cyberpunk fan, also not a huge Blade Runner guy. Totally get it. Yeah, if this is not your jam, you're not going to want to play this game. Wayne, wondering if they're going to tie in or at least hint at Alien Universe connection. Is there an Alien Universe connection here? Did I miss something? Maybe. I didn't know. Yeah, so I don't really think of Blade Runner as a cyberpunk movie setting, but I guess in some ways, yeah, I think that's... It may not be the punk, right? Cyberpunk, if you read like Cyberpunk Red, literally everything is supposed to be over the top, just amped up to 11. It's all about style over substance, maybe, I guess. So Blade Runner isn't, I think in those terms, probably doesn't fit the bill necessarily. So it's probably more futuristic, right? Futuristic police, I don't know, futuristic sci-fi. Not far future. Maybe far future? What's far future? Far future to me would be like transhumanism. This has got androids, right? I mean, it's based off the book called "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sleep?" Or do they electric sheep? Wish. I missed why the switch to YouTube. You did. You did a little bit. Short answer is, I don't know if Twitch is the long-term solution. I think growth, my gut tells me that growth on YouTube will get us further long-term. I don't think it's going to be going from Twitch to YouTube. We're going to see a spike, like a hockey stick. Hey-oh, Canadian reference. Hockey stick increase. But I think over time, if we want to grow our YouTube channel, YouTube Live is just going to be a part of that. They got shorts. I could, put those on there. I think Twitch is kind of a one-trick pony. And it does it well, but unless they offer something else, we could continue to grow. The next step for us on Twitch would be to make partner. How do we do that? Well, we got to get 75 people watching our stream at any given time on average. That's a lot. That's the big hurdle that a lot of people can't overcome. A lot of people can get to affiliate, and they can stream the amount of hours that Twitch requests, but That 75 person limit is kind of tough on Twitch. That's where a lot of people, and the split is pretty tough. Even when you do make it, the money is pretty low. Where I think YouTube, you get, I don't know if on Twitch it's 60-40. I know YouTube is 70-30. But they also, in order to become, I forgot what they call it. It's like their equivalent to partner or even affiliate. You have to get 1,000 subscribers on your YouTube. So it's in between kind of the Twitch affiliate and the Twitch partner. It's like kind of right in the middle as far as criteria goes. But anyways, just checking it out. I think it may be something we want to use all the time. We'll see. Anyways, dystopian noir, like it. Wayne, yeah, Blade Runner, dystopian noir. Yeah, it may be just hunting down, right? There's got to be another facet to it. Are you only just hunting down androids, rogue androids? Probably not. There's probably going to be, do you want to treat it like a police procedural? Probably. I don't know. There you go. What does growth mean? Just more people watching, more different content, EPs? Is the new platform Locals an option for you? Platform Locals? I haven't heard of Locals, K-Rise. What does growth mean? Yeah. Well, so not to get into streaming and podcasting and audience and, I've had good friends of mine that say, what does success look like? What do you want to do? What's your end goal? What's your accomplishment? Whenever somebody's creating content, they always want numbers. Like they want their numbers to grow. How do they grow their audience? Those are always big topics at podcast conferences, streaming conferences. I'm sure TwitchCon is filled with how to grow your numbers, how to get more people. Patreon is how to get more patrons. For us, that is not a huge deal. It's not, I never wanted to make that a priority. That was never the priority, and it's still not really the priority. But if we're going to stream or we're going to put something out and we can reach more people, and there is a method to do it that's legitimate, that doesn't jeopardize the integrity of the show or what we talk about, then why not? APs on, so AP wise, I would like to do more actual plays. I don't know if video is necessarily the way to go. Well, let me back up here. So if somebody were to want to do this, and I say do this as in they wanted to create a show, my personal opinion, if you wanted to create content quickly, easily, affordably, then I would say there's kind of a mix. Podcasting is and can be relatively easy. You download Anchor, put it on your phone, talk into it, save it, and you've got a podcast. Because it's so easy, there's a lot of people that want to start one. They do start one, but then they realize that they don't know what to do or what to talk about week after week after week, or every 2 weeks, or every month. So they end up fizzling after 7 episodes. Because after 7 episodes, they felt like they've said everything that they've needed to say. For our podcast, most of you know we're recording episode 361 on Monday. And the reason we've been able to do that is I've got a co-host that helps drive that. We could kind of riff off each other. We've got a community that's come up with questions that have given us inspiration, things of that nature. The thing is with podcasts is the podcast itself doesn't make money. And for those that are making money in podcasting, it's usually because it's a marketing channel for whatever else they're providing. So if you are a real estate agent, or you are, professional business coach, marketing guru, you put out a podcast to show off your expertise, and then people hire you because you've shown off your expertise. They've become aware of you. Maybe you're selling webinars, maybe you're selling books, t-shirts, whatever that is. And then in so doing that, your podcast is generating revenue only because you've got something to provide your community. Role-playing games and podcasting is an interesting one because, we all know how finances may work in the role-playing game hobby. So there you go. So somebody will say, well, how do I make money? I want to put up a podcast. And I say podcast is easy because you just hit record and talk. Video and YouTube is more challenging because you have to have, you could do B-roll, A-roll, you have audio and video, two different components you have to focus in on. YouTube provides more discoverability than any audio podcast. You get on YouTube, you watch a video, hey, you might like this. Hey, you might like this. Others who viewed this might like this. And it's always constantly serving you up relatable or related content. And on YouTube, you can monetize. You get a certain amount of followers and subscribers, and then YouTube allows you to monetize. I think the limit's 1,000. Like, you got to get the minimum 1,000 subscribers, and then you can turn your channel into monetization. And that monetization may be relatively low when you only have 1,000, but you can get paid. Other ways that people get paid by creating content is by aligning themselves with a product or service that pays you to talk about their product on your YouTube channel. That is not something YouTube serves up. Those are the in-video, in-stream, hey, this is brought to you by insert company name. And then I say it just like I am right now talking. That's like a private deal. And those streamers will negotiate their terms, right? Or their streamers, I should say, those content creators will negotiate those terms. And those companies that want to advertise with them are usually using a per click per 1,000 scheme to pay. Like, how many subscribers do you have? How many visitors do you get? Okay, blah. They're still using that in podcasting, completely different model. So the nice thing about YouTube is if you create a video and somebody stumbles across it, and another person and another person and another person. We all know how, the viral video piece goes. If that happens, you can get some decent growth. It can take a long time, but it may not. It just, mileage may vary depending on what you're putting out there. But the benefit of YouTube is that it's always putting stuff in front of other viewers. Our YouTube channel has been sucking wind, but that's because I did a faux pas very early on, which was put up audio only on a YouTube channel. And YouTube hates that. So I got rid of some of those. I don't know if it's too late. Probably is. But How to RPG is another YouTube channel that I have. I've got probably half the amount of subscribers. I've got 4 videos. YouTube, Gaming NBS's YouTube channel has, probably 100 plus videos. We got like 360 subscribers. Like, it's just not there. We also have, we're explicit, right? So if YouTube catches F-bombs every once in a while, we're not going to get an advertiser, and we're not qualified yet, but an advertiser that places ads on a channel that drops F-bombs, probably less likely to get somebody that says, hey, I'm McDonald's, I'm going to put it on Gaming NBS, and associate themselves with us dropping F-bombs all the time. Twitch is an interesting one because you can get some slices of ad revenue from what they play when you first join a stream. They play that pre-roll ad, and then you got your subs and your bits. But I think on YouTube, I think we're making like I think we're up to maybe $50 a month. So you take all the kind of channels that you might have and how to monetize. And of course, monetization will usually coincide directly with how many followers, subscribers, blah, blah, right? So that's why people want more subscribers. The more subscribers you have, the more exposure you have. The more exposure you have, the more likely it is for you to earn money off of it somehow. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. That's the short of it. Didn't want to make it all about streaming and monetizing, but some people genuinely want to know how that's all set up. With our show, I'm big on community, because somebody's probably still saying, but Sean, you still haven't answered the question, like, what is your end goal with Gaming and BS? What are you trying to achieve? And for me personally, it's to really hang around with a lot of people that are passionate about tabletop RPGs, get to know them, build a community, and foster a positive community of, I want to say like-minded people. It seems very bubble, like it's a bubble and a club, and that's not really the case. But we see these schisms in the RPG hobby, and it's, fandom has it all over the place. You have people that are OSR based and they're like, gatekeepers, and then you'll get D&D people that are gatekeepers. You'll get people that are anti-D&D that are gatekeepers. So it ranges and it spans the whole spectrum. What we're trying to do is be, positive force in the RPG hobby by just being more open-minded to people's differences and opinions and preferences and game styles and things of that nature, where you can still play different games, play different ways, and not have people say, that's dumb, that's stupid, why are you doing it? Michael, morning. I think as people join, they'll be like, hey, why YouTube? Hey, why'd YouTube? Michael, man, you're going to have to check out the beginning of this. Like literally, 2 minutes. I just got done kind of mentioning it. So just scrub through to like this timestamp, probably like 20 minutes in. Or right at the beginning. Like when nobody was here, I started talking about it. There's fine lines between hobby, part-time gig, and full-time job, for sure. Like just doing this full-time, I love to retire. I would love to be a content creator. There's some things in my brain that I want to do that I know would be successful on YouTube. And I say successful as in just getting a decent subscriber base. I mean, I would love to hit 100,000 followers. 100,000, you get the nice silver plaque from YouTube. And I don't think it's impossible. Colville has it, level 3 experience, which I just came across. Like he's been doing it for a long time, 5 years. He's got some videos that are had 1 million views. That doesn't happen overnight. But I do think I've got some things that I think people would appreciate in the RPG hobby that could get some traction. One of those things is comparing some games like verbatim next to each other. And I mentioned this on a Twitch stream one day, was, D&D versus insert game. Now we have review shows. We get that, like Ben at Ben Milton's channel, which I always forget the name of it, Questing Beast. He goes over older school games, retro clones, things of that nature, and does reviews of those. Great. They're fantastic. And that's his niche, and that's what he's known for. And he's got a decent following too. I don't even know what he's up to. But I mean, he's made a go of it and done fairly well for himself, I think. Gazoon type back there. Questing Beast. Is it not Questing Beast? It's got to be Questing Beast. YouTube? Right? How come he's not even coming up? Because he probably doesn't have a website. There it is. He's got 47,000 subscribers. Now, I don't know if you can make a living off of that, but it's a probably decent some decent revenue, and he does a good job. His production value is decent. But some of these things with these channels is, if I wanted to read about Rackham Vale or somebody's starting to get in more D&D stuff, building living dungeons. But if he did like Knave, or he's going through Gradient Descent of Mothership or something along those lines, great. But they don't. So I'll give you an example. Symbaroum by Free League. I have the book. I started reading it. It starts off with a lot of the setting pieces. I've yet to get into the player character components and the mechanics, which is our little like middle of the book, maybe front middle. So if you were to say, well, I've heard about the Symbaroum game. Yes, you could go to a channel like Ben's or something like that, where they go through page by page and they kind of talk about the setting and the mechanics. Sure. But how does it stack up with D&D? Like if I'm a D&D player and I wanted to make that leap, what would be the comparison? Like, okay, how does initiative work in D&D compared to Symbaroum, right? And some of the review channels might go through some of those details for sure, but I'm making it like more concrete. I don't know if that has legs or not, but if I were to want to make that move and I use D&D as the reference point, it helps bridge the gap between the two games, and hopefully maybe somebody finds it, valuable. How would you run it differently because of the differences between D&D and whatever? So for example, I'd love to run Symbaroum before I actually did that, because then you get some nuances that I think a lot of reviewers miss when they don't actually play the games they're reviewing. It just, when you hit the table, it's different. So having said that, like one of the things that I could possibly do is like a Forbidden Lands, D&D versus Forbidden Lands, right? So yes, you can sit down, and I've done a Forbidden Lands video on, well, this is a little bit of the 100-foot view of Forbidden Lands, and it uses the Year Zero engine, and these are some of the nuances of the game. But how would you run it as a game master differently than if you were playing D&D? Or if you were playing, like, oh, I'm a D&D player, why would I play differently in Forbidden Lands than I would in D&D? And I think some of those things might come into play. Some people might say, well, I know a little bit about it, but I'd like to know more. And why is it that great? So I think there is there is a thing in my brain that wants to do something like that. And you know what? I could do that for 3 or 4 and they could never go anywhere, and I could just shit can it because I tried it and it didn't work, and so be it. Big deal. That's the beauty of today's access. Like, we could try different things, and if it doesn't work, we just try something else. And again, I have less to lose than Ben. I have less to lose than Matt Colville or anybody else, because we don't have that amount of followers. I don't know if I want to do it under Gaming ABS. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I see some streams broadcasting on both YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. Not sure the benefit. Well, so here's the deal. You can do that. You can use a service called Restream. It does usually cost some type of subscription piece, right? You pay $20 a month, and that allows you you can actually stream YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. I think usually are the ones. And I think even, Periscope on Twitter, I don't even know if that's around anymore, but yeah, you could do that. But you have to pay. Here's my thoughts on that. Because I think Hobbs did that. Hobbs was doing that at one time. Our buddy Hobbs at Hobbs and Friends. If you do that, you got to monitor both channels. You can't just, hey, I'm going to stream live to YouTube, but I'm only going to monitor the chat and Twitch. And frankly, do people even, there are some actual plays that stream to Twitch and they don't even really pay attention to the chat. unless they have a dedicated mod. Well, and rightfully so, because they're engaged in the game. So do you want your players to look at the chat and like, oh, I'm chatting with the chat room and oh, hey, Sean, what are you doing? What do you do? It's your move. Oh, shit. What happened? I was just like talking to the chat, got lost. Sorry. Now, some of those channels have dedicated mods or fans that are in the chat room and they interact, and that's fine. But, there is it's just an interesting dynamic. Actual plays themselves and how you put them on Twitch or YouTube or audio, because I don't think actual plays need video. I don't know why. I would be interested to ask people that stream other than me and who do actual plays and say, why are you doing your actual play on Twitch? And understand what their answer is. Or even YouTube. Why are you doing it on YouTube? YouTube, I could maybe understand a little bit more because it's content, it's video. But my question on actual plays is: does it require a video piece? Some have said, well, Sean, you could see the facial expressions of the players, like you could see the body language. Maybe if they have handouts. Yeah, I guess, sure. Maybe, but I mean, how many APs have you seen where it's like, oh my God, if I didn't see that handout, I would be completely lost? Like zero? I mean, if you were listening to Twitch, if you had Twitch on your phone and just put in your headphones, headphones, whatever, and you never watched it, would you? I don't know. What is that for you? Craig, Third Floor Wars. Love Craig. He does good work. I love his stuff. He's got cool trailers and intros. I really want to pick his brain on how he does them. Streams on both. If I'm on YouTube, I always am. I notice he's on, and I switch to Twitch because that's where the community is. Yeah. Craig's trying to... I get it. I think there's like, I want to be everywhere all the time. I don't think that's the way to go. As a matter of fact, I would even go as far to say as we're doing it wrong. Because I think what you do is you do one thing very well, and then you use all the rest of the channels to supplement your main thing. So if we're an audio show and an audio podcast, then I think YouTube or Twitch should supplement that. So a perfect example would be we're an audio channel. So Brett and I record the audio and we put it out every week like we did for the first 200 and 300 episodes until we started doing Twitch. And then we do actual plays. And those actual plays are done on Twitch or YouTube. Insert whatever medium you want. And those are additional components. We don't even put them in our RSS feed. Like, I don't think I've ever recorded an actual play and then put it into our audio channel stream or audio feed. Could I? Sure. It's can be a pain in the ass. I guess I found my topic of the day, right? Agreed. AP with video tends to be awkward to watch. Personal preference is audio. But then you look at, this is the thing too. So people will look at Critical Role and go, oh, they got like 60,000 people watching them. That's a lot. And critters are insane, right? Fans, they're fanatics. So they look at that and go, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. So how do I do that? I get a bunch of gear, get a bunch of players, and we're going to roll D&D, and that's what we're going to do. I want to be the next Critical Role. And that's great. Nothing wrong with that. Matt Mercer and their crew, I think, are positive role models in the hobby. They're good reps. You want to be like them? Hey, I could think of a lot of people that would be worse to be like. Gotta make sure I don't roll over my cat. So, I have some very strong opinions on how to do things. I don't know if I followed my opinions very well. And I look at some other shows or I don't know if you want to call them a show or network or they're kind of conglomeration of stuff that they're doing, you know. And I'd say I would not want to do it that way. So here's a perfect example. We're going to be doing tomorrow. I kick off session 0 of Delta Green, the Gaming NBS project, or Project Gaming NBS, the Delta Green experiment. Tomorrow, session 0, we're going to record the audio, Brett and I. And for that audio, I'll record session 0 until we finish. And it's going to be recorded with a kind of a disclaimer intro. I have to kind of massage the verbiage up a little bit, but zhuzh it up. Even saying like, hey, the purpose of this actual play is this. And the reason I want to do that is because there are going to be people that are going to say, oh, you know what? It's not an actual play that I prefer, right? They don't go into the mechanics. I really was hoping they'd go into mechanics. And then there's going to be people who say, oh, they go too much into the mechanics. I was hoping more RP radio drama. The reason for the audio actual play for Delta Green, specifically in Brett and I's experiment here, is to compare and contrast my style with his, running the same scenario. So we're presented with the same story. How do we go about running it? So if you're interested to know what that is like, then you will appreciate the AP. If you are like, well, I want to know about mechanics, or I want to know about, I want to hear the radio drama, you may miss out on a component of it, right? You might still go, oh, okay, they've got a good balance each. I'm all in. So I'm going to actually state that, like, hey, the purpose of this thing is this. If you're looking for radio drama, that's down the hall. The reason I would put that disclaimer in place is because if I sat down and said, you know what I'm going to do? My next creation is going to be an actual play. I would want to do an actual play in a very specific way. So, for example, when we do the Delta Green experiment, I'm not going to coach my players on like, hey, just as you know, this is an actual play. It's audio. Can we just be courteous? Oh, by the way, I'm going to tell them like, don't crunch potato chips and eat them at the, in your microphone, blah, 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 blah. But if I were to do an actual play, it would be even more like upfront than this one. Like it would be, I'm looking for people that are very comfortable on camera or very comfortable being on audio. And oh, by the way, you need to understand if we're going to record an audio, we're going to see each other in video, but you have to pick up on body cues on when somebody's going to talk so that you don't talk over them. I would probably also edit it differently than what I'm going to do with Delta Green. Like I may even put in sound effects if I were doing an audio only actual play. Or I would say the purpose of this actual play audio is to give you, the listener, some insight into what an actual role-playing game is, how it's run. So there may be some side commentary. There may be some nuances with the rules where we're going to stop. Like if we don't know the rule, we're going to stop and we're going to look it up and we're going to implement it. In most games, you're going to want to go flying by that. But because we're doing it this way, whatever. That's a style choice in doing an actual play. And I would have a particular way of trying to produce that. Now, with going back to the Delta Green experiment, one of the things, Craig's a perfect example of this. What's up, Victor? Good to see you. Side note, if you stick with YouTube, enable the join feature so we can support you with monthly sub donation. I will do that. I don't get that until I hit like 1,000 views, 1,000 subs. Like I got to get monetization, Michael, to make that happen. So I literally don't have trust me, when I get to that point, it's going to be enabled for sure. Victor, everyone has a different style. It's great to see. My primary preference is to watch an AP to learn the game. But do you need to watch it? That's my question, Victor, to you. Do you need to physically watch it? So are they doing some board games? Sure, I get it. Like, hey, I'm moving around this board, or I got these amount of meeples, or whatever it is. And we're playing cards. Tabletop bellhop, great. Mo's got that probably down pretty good. I'm not a board game guy. I like board games, but I'm just not an aficionado. Probably because I get tired of getting my ass kicked in every board game. It's just I got some childhood baggage. Victor says, I also watched him to understand the VTT and how it relates to specific games. Understandable. So going back to the Craig and audio, actual plays, streams, podcasts, blah, 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 and the Delta Green experiment, or Project BS. One of the things I like about Craig Shipman and Third Floor Wars is he's got a great interview show that's sorely lacking in the RPG hobby. So I think Craig fills that void, and he does a good job, and he gets some good guests. He does a very good way of approaching those guests and uncovering some stuff in his approach. He does some actual plays. Great. I haven't listened to as much actual plays of his than his interviews. One of the things that kind of is always a bit of a conundrum is, do you put everything that you produce audio-wise into your same RSS feed? So there are games, actual plays, like, for example, I'm listening, I'll give them a plug right now. Why not? I just pulled it up this morning. It's the podcast, the AARPG podcast, the Advanced Age Role-Playing Gamers podcast. Advanced Age, probably old guys. Third Skull, Three Skull, what is it? Dirty Skull. I got it right here too, I think. The Three Skulls Tavern, okay. There's another one. Black Project Gaming, another one. So they are actual play podcasts. One thing that irks the shit out of me about some of these actual play podcasts, audio feeds, is that they may be playing 2 or 3 games at the same time. So what happens is I subscribe to their feed, and then I go through and I'm like, I don't want to listen to them play insert game here, okay? But I want to listen to them play Twilight 2000. I want to listen to them play this game. But I have to sort through all that to get to the episodes I want. Then I have to download them individually, because what happens in podcast catchers, as you well all know if you're a podcast listener, is you choose to download them as they become available. And then if you decide in your podcatcher after 30 days to delete them, whether you listen to them or not, or once they're listened to, they get removed from your device. So they're not taking up, all 360 episodes of Gaming and BS aren't taking up all the space on your phone's storage. I don't want to download their next episode because I don't know if it's going to be Twilight 2000. So that intermixing of all that shit irks the piss out of me. So what so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Project BS, I'm going to put it in with all the other Gaming and BS bullshit. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I was wanting to, because I think people think, well, I can make it all in, like, hey, I will just have this room and people can come to this room and they can get everything that they want in this room. Yeah, that's great. But if I don't want that, I don't want to go to that room. I don't want to wade through all the shit to get to the thing that I really want to hear and want to listen to. Which means that the Gaming and BS project, the Delta Green experiment, may not get as many listeners if we don't put it in our main feed. It's not a big deal to me, because I'm not trying to grow the audience by doing this thing. If we mention on the show, yep, there's an update, go subscribe, it might be a pain in the ass for people to go and find it and then subscribe, but not if I just put a link in the show notes. Here, you guys want to listen to this and compare and contrast? Great. Here's where the link is. Subscribe to that show. I almost wonder if there is a benefit to saying, Sean's going to do an actual play podcast. Brett's going to do an actual play podcast. A moderator, a community member is going to do an actual play podcast, and Gaming and BS is going to produce it. Maybe then it becomes Gaming and BS production, and we've got 5 different shows out there. And we'll get people that probably want to listen to the Delta Green Experiment, but not listen to our own show. So the conundrum, what a lot of people will ask is, if I have an actual play and I have a commentary show and an interview show, do I put them all in the same feed? Do I put them all in the same, hey, you get it all here? And some of the experts, podcast consultants, what they will say is, if it is specific to if it's the same audience that you're targeting, then yes, don't split it up. But how do you define that? So somebody could say, well, then I won't split it up because they're all RPG gamers. That's my audience. There you go. But as you double down on the specifics of what you're providing, it's not the same audience. Just because I'm an RPG gamer and everybody else in the chat and you are a role-playing gamer doesn't mean that the audience that I'm producing this for is for you. So if I do a Delta Green game, an actual play, then it's going to be for those that appreciate actual plays and appreciate knowing more about Delta Green. That's kind of it. That has nothing to do with Gaming and BS necessarily. They may say, oh, it's Sean's game. Oh, I like to listen to Sean. But they probably don't know me unless they're a fan of the show, of Gaming and BS. Victor says I need to watch it because my brain does not keep up if I can only hear it. I get that. I totally get that, Victor. Totally valid. Not that you need me to validate that, but I completely understand. I totally get it. I love the idea of actual play to help figure out a new game. I'm always on the lookout for videos like this. What would you like to see in them, Farty? Like, what is a good one? How do you define a good actual, like, so when you say that, hello, I love the idea of an actual play to help figure out a new game. I'm always on the lookout for videos like that. I know you've seen good ones and I know you've seen bad ones. What are the things that differ from either one of those? I'm curious. I like it all in the same feed. Just put them into different playlists. Sure. You have to do that, though. You have to put them into different playlists, right? I don't do that. So Victor, same here. There's a lot of player personality and presenter skills that will keep all their games, or I will get what I need them. Bail. Got it. When I get them back. Yeah. Rodrigo. Totally agree. I've been listening to Alcoholic Adventuring Cabal for their Forbidden Lands AP, but they play everything, having to sift through all that to find FBL annoying at best. I like same feed with different name tags, so I know if I want to download an episode or not. Yeah, I know you're validated. Sorry, Victor. You can't feel that way. I mean, personally, man, I can't stand filtering that shit. But there's people that are like, put it all on the same feed. I don't want to go and get another show. I'm leaning towards putting it in a different feed. I don't know why. Because we could promote it on our own show. We could just say, hey, if you want to listen, because here's the thing. We're going to have, and somebody say one other consideration is it's only 4 to 6 sessions. So it's not going to be, over 2 years or, whatever. I would make it very, very noticeable, which I think many shows do, right? If you're going to listen to Twilight 2000 on one RPG AP and then they do Forbidden Lands and D&D, they change the album art. At least the good ones do, right? So the album art changes. You can legitimately look at it, or they'll title it appropriately so you can just quick at a glance swipe it off, delete it, or what have you. So that's good. And I would do that. so intentionally, like Sean's Delta Green game, number 1, Sean's Delta Green, number 2. So if you just see that, you're just like, forget it. Or, oh, okay, cool. Same with Brett's. It's going to be Brett's episode, Sean's episode, Gaming and BS. We've done Bonus BS before. Bonus BS was kind of a mix. I still didn't know how to tackle that. I had them in the same feed, and we also have a separate feed for that. We could do them all under a Bonus BS, where Bonus BS is just everything else. I don't know. There's not a wrong or right answer, because people are going to be like, oh, dude, why did you do it that way? And then people are going to be like, yes, they did it that way. I know from personal experience, man, I cannot stand filtering through somebody's feed for a bunch of stuff. Like Craig, I hate to bring up Craig because he does a great job. And frankly, he should be thanking me for all the publicity I'm giving him. But, Malifaux, I'm not a Malifaux player. He's got some Malifaux episodes. Sean, just skip them. It's not that hard. Come on, dude. Sure. Okay. And frankly, his thing is that he's got a lot of people from the Malifaux area, or people that have never played role-playing games into role-playing games. And not only that, he's gotten them to us. Like Nick is going to he's one of their community members, and he's going to be in my Delta Green game, and he's a patron of our show. So do I have a lot of room to talk? Because Craig's way of doing things benefiting me, right? Some players allow you to do some fancy stuff with your downloads. When I used to listen to 30-ish hours of podcasts a week, I would just manually download what I wanted and queue it all up. Yeah. Having one regular commentary feed and one for APs with a clear naming convention if there's multiple APs going on could be a reasonable compromise. If one AP gets popular, maybe split it off. Yep, that's certainly understandable. A good way to do it. Have you talked about YouTube playlists? YouTube playlists are easy. Yes, that would be easy. But that's a whole different ballgame, I think, because you're not downloading the episodes, even though on premium you can. So, yeah, YouTube makes it easier. You're not going to take an AP and our commentary and put them on different channels. Yeah, on YouTube. I wouldn't do that. I would just make it a different playlist. Absolutely. That's what we do now. Our commentary shows are different playlists. If I do a video on a review or an unboxing, that's on a different playlist. It doesn't show up. It's a completely different ballgame. Audio is, in my opinion. Because I can't put playlists in the same feed for audio. If there was a way where it was like subscribe to Gaming and BS audio, just like YouTube, and then we had different playlists that you could go, yeah, I like that playlist. Don't want that. It's just not nested like that. So you're either subscribing to the whole show and whatever's in it, or you're another feed. I was about to suggest that YouTube play. Yeah, YouTube, sure. Another beast. Different animal. Teaching the game, Wayne says, not AP. If video shows the character sheet, step through the combat, or other systems show the dice, explain important subsystems, and talk about how they affect play. Yeah. If there's just 1 to 3 APs going on, Jim says it's probably not too bad to have them together. Maybe. Good AP are ones that run through a published adventure and apply the rules well, but don't spend 10 minutes explaining the rules. Show the rules in action. Yeah, Nick everywhere. One thing that drives me crazy, Victor says, are when people don't give episodes of podcasts good titles and consistent numbering. I hate those ones where they name an episode with an inside joke from the episode. Yeah. Harrigan Tube. Who's that guy? Morning, folks. Morning. So we were just talking about, a lot of people were curious on hey, Sean, why are you streaming on YouTube, not Twitch? Got into APs, how to divvy that up, what that looks like, what people appreciate about them, how do you put them in an audio feed. So, I don't know. I'd be interested. I should, maybe I just got to put a poll out there for BSers. And say, hey, would you rather us put this in one feed? Or do you want to go and subscribe to just the actual plays? Yeah. Hey, hashtag too soon, Victor, Adam Coble. Yeah. I'm telling you, I mentioned this last week. I think there is a huge amount of opportunity in actual play if you can unlock it and do it well. And I don't know what that is. And I don't think I have the answer. And I don't think a lot of people have the answer yet. But what does that look like? And I think one of them I suggested was you record the actual play. Maybe it's video. Maybe it's just audio. You could do it in audio. Again, I don't think APs require video, personal opinion. But there's some people that appreciate it and they have their particular reasons. But I think you do it like a director's DVD cut or director's commentary of the DVD version or whatever. Extended director commentary, whatever you freaking call it. Behind the scenes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You record it. And as you're listening, you're like, you put in the record scratch as a audio signal that you're bopping to the commentary. You get, it's two NFL announcers in the box. Hey, let's look at that review or replay. Okay, you're going to see what's going to happen is this guy's going to go around the end and I mean, it's just, you could learn a lot from sports commentary when it comes to actual play, for sure, I think. Basketball, baseball. If you can, you'll notice that the forward, Kelly's going to come up and he's going to do a screen. He's going to do a simple pick and roll, go down the alley, and he's going to get the easy dish, and it'll be 2 points. Easy. So I think there is room for stopping and going, okay, let me explain what's going on here. Because you've heard what you've heard, but da-da-da-da-da. Let me tell you why we decided to go with, let me tell you why I decided to go with this particular ruling in the moment. Most of it's going to be, I just want to move the game along. And some things that you learn from actual plays are just watching how somebody says, hey, are we all in agreement that this is the way this is going to work? We'll look up the rule later. Okay, that sounds great. Implement it, done. Farty, I only watch YouTube's playlists for me. I download and watch later. I don't mind audio only. I'm listening to a Delta Green show. This is what's killing me. This is what's just like, what? Lollygaggers, I think they're called. They have a Twitch stream. They've been around for a little while. They're doing Impossible Landscapes, which is the big Delta Green campaign. And I started reading it, and I'm like, oh. And then I came across somehow, I think on Twitter, they were running it as an actual play. And I'm like, ooh. I haven't even listened to them. I haven't even seen them. I know nothing about them other than they're on Twitter and that they're running that as an actual play. I don't know if they're on YouTube. I don't know if they're whatever. I come to find out that they don't have an audio version, which I think is a mistake because it's very easy to just crank it into an audio version, put it up on Anchor. It doesn't cost you anything. So I asked them, I said, is this on audio? Because I don't want to have to watch it. I want to run. Like, I'm a runner. I want to run and listen to it while I'm running. Oh, no, we haven't gotten to that point yet. And I literally said, if it's something you don't know how to do, hit me up. I will help you. But if you have that covered, I would highly anticipate, I would really love to hear the audio version. Well, we just haven't gotten around to it. Now I go to their YouTube channel, and they've got a lot of videos. A lot of them. Like, it's not 2 or 3. Like, they're just not starting out. And I'm like, oh, dudes, you just gotta dudes, generic. But you just gotta rip the audio out, and their audio is good. Like, there's some actual plays on video that are just, ooh, I cannot watch these guys because they sound like shit. Audio is very important in video. Some would say audio is more important than the actual video. Because if the audio sucks, man, you're just not going to watch that stuff. But, like, I should just, I don't know. It's very easy for me to take down their videos, download them, extract the audio out of them, upload them to Anchor, and go, there's your feed. Here, now you guys have something. I could easily do that. And apparently somebody did that years ago and mistaken me for doing it. A long story. And people were freaking pissed off. I would just hand over their, like, here. I would just make it under some Gmail email address and go, here, I did it for you. You're welcome. Oh, I can't believe he put our audio out there for people to download. That would be an interesting channel idea. Clipping other APs and going over things they did wrong, right, with the gameplay. I mean, shit, just take Critical Role or whatever. Take any actual play, pull it down. I mean, you could do that. There's people use shit all the time on YouTube. How many times have you ever watched a show of a TV show or music video or something that's not even the owner's content, but they put it on their own channel and they get hundreds of thousands of places or hundreds of thousands of views? I think they just can't monetize it. Or if they do monetize it, then the content owner can contest it, not a D&C, not a C&D. But they can, if you choose to monetize it, the monetization goes to the content owner. I know, can't believe you put your audio out there for people to download. Thanks. True story. I own RPGpodcasters.com. I set up a Twitter account, and I don't know if you guys ever messed with Clamor. Clamor was an app that you could put on your phone, and the way Clamor worked is you would listen to it. It was an audio podcatcher, but Clamor allowed you to snip pieces of the audio and share them everywhere else. The podcatcher I have, now people are like, well, Sean, you can do that with Overcast. Yes, you can. But Overcast was a podcatcher first, and then it allows you to kind of snip parts of it, of a show. Clamor's sole purpose was to do actually micro podcasting, I guess, because when you took those snippets, it wasn't to publish the whole show on Clamor, because you could subscribe to different people and listen to the things that they are clipping, so that it was kind of unique. Clamor was. So what I did was I created an account called RPG Podcasters on Twitch and Clamor. And what I was doing was going through podcasts that I had appreciation for. Maybe it was the intro to the show. Maybe it was something I heard. And then I would post it to Twitch. So, for example, I would listen to, say, I don't know, Gaming in BS. And I'd go, oh, here's the intro of that show. Clip that for episode whatever, and then I would tweet it. And when I tweeted it, I literally would say, here's the intro for episode 359 of Gaming in BS. Go check them out. And I got fucking shish kebabbed by One Shot Network. Who's the guy over there? What's his name? Oh man, his name escapes me. Help me out. James D'Amato. Because somebody, a fan of his show, said, hey, look at this. This Twitter account is putting out your content. Like, they're stealing your content. And then it was Luke Skygasser, I don't remember his name. He had a solo show. Can't remember his name. I can't remember. He got super pissed off at me. And I was like, wait a minute. I actually had to call and bring people into the conversation. Christian Serrano was one of them, right? So I'm like, hey, Christian, you know these guys? Like, I think it was somebody we had mutuals with. And they were just coming down on me, you frickin' stealing our shit. First of all, understand how the internet works. Secondly, Christian was like, no. He's not stealing your stuff. It's like posting a link to your website. How is that stealing your stuff? That doesn't, like, that's the entirety of Twitter. Hey, you want to go check out my Kickstarter? I mean, by yelling at me in the context that they were, you'd find somebody sharing your Kickstarter link without your permission to be illegal or unethical. So I really wish that I knew that Skywalker dude. He had like a really weird like play on like Luke Skywalker's name, like something Sky Stepper Runner. I don't remember. No, it's not Wayne Lumfleet Lumrunner. So they really got on me. Come to find out, and James kind of, after he got explained what I was doing by yours truly, as a matter of fact, I even told him, I said, hey, there was, and at the time I was like, my goal with RPG podcasters was to interview or do a conglomerate of RPG podcasters and have them all on the same show during different episodes and have a topic, and then we would just kind of do a roundtable topic discussion with all of everybody's favorite podcasters. So you'd get somebody like James, and I actually told him, I said, I'd get you on the show, I'd get, Stu from Happy Jacks, and maybe Kimmy, from Happy Jacks, and we'd have a topic, we'd talk about it. Everybody could promote their show, and that would be it. So for me, promoting other people's shows through this Twitter feed, people lost their shit. Well, so what happened? I'll get to the point here of this whole thing. Is that I think there was an account out there that was like not RPG podcasters, but it was like RPG podcasts. I don't know. That's a domain out there that has a bunch of them listed, kind of like a directory. But one of those types of sites hijacked other people's RSS feeds, put them all under one, and then propagated that out as their own. Now that is uncool. So that would be like me downloading all of James D'Amato's actual plays, because you can do that. You download all the shows when you listen to them, creating my own website, call it Sean Cass, uploading all of those episodes to Sean Cass' account to include Gaming and BS, One Shot, Third Floor Wars. I mean, just take a bunch of them, upload them, and put them all under my own feed. Somebody did that. And this other guy, this Luke Skywalker guy, just lost his shit. And I'm like, dude, that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. I'm sharing a snippet of your show. The link that people click on goes to your fucking show. But it was, so when I mentioned taking the lollygaggers and downloading their video, extracting the audio and putting it up, that's what I would be doing, but what I would do is say, I did it for you. Here's the email address. Here's where it's located. You go log in. You take it over. You change the password. It's already done for you. I've done all the work. You don't have to do anything. As a matter of fact, if you don't like it, you can just shit can it. But it's done. It's there. Because I want to listen to it, man. I don't want to download your YouTube video and then listen to it. And I don't want to sit on YouTube and watch it to have to listen to it. Lex Starwalker. That's it. That's the guy. Lex Starwalker. That guy, he blocked me. I think he blocked me. I think he blocked my, I don't know if he blocked my personal account. But RPG Podcasters, I still have. Oh man, that guy was he was so pissed. Yeah, he didn't block me. He didn't block me, my personal account. I'm pretty sure if I log in, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to log into RPG Podcast because I still have that account. I am pretty sure he blocked me just because of that. Like, what, dude? What are you doing? Let's see if I still have that. I'm pretty sure I still have the Twitter account. So I got a lot. I got about 10 Twitter accounts. Ah, shit. It doesn't log me in. So my password's wrong. And I think I let the domain expire, which means if there's an email associated with that domain, I'm not going to get it. But he was super, and people were losing their shit. So yeah, I would be kind of perturbed to find Gaming and BS's content under somebody else's stream or under somebody else's feed. And the thing was, he was just totally out of line. It wasn't even like rational in talking to him. He was just like so pissed off. Well, come to find out, that's how it explained to me. Like somebody sorry. Actually, I think he apologized and said, I didn't realize you were a different person. The person that did it before had a very similar handle. Like it wasn't RPG Podcasters, it was RPG Podcasts. I thought you were the same guy, and yeah. I think James was just like, as long as you're doing this, then I'm good. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm not. I know who you are, Mr. I don't know how many fucking followers he has, 10, 30,000 followers on Twitter. Jesus, man. $13,000 followers. Yeah, I got it, dude. I'm not here to wreak havoc with James D'Amato. And this was, God, it's got to be, I think it might have been before Gaming and BS, honestly. I'd have to double check. I think I might have let RPG Podcasters expire. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I might still have it, but if trying to find those tweets are just way too old. Actually, yeah, and I can't log into the other one. But anyways, there you go. There you have it. Lex Starwalker. Man. Come on, dude. Your shit's not that good. Sorry, that was uncalled for. What else was I going to come up today? So there you go on actual play. I don't know what I'm going to do. Probably separate them. No, don't separate them. Well, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Projects. All right. So what else did I have? Oh. Yeah, I know. Man. I'm going to get something to drink. I think the thing that bothered me the most with him is he just wasn't listening to me, like trying to explain. He's just so, you motherfucker, take this shit down. I'm going to, like, calm the fuck down. We're commuting on Twitter. This is when it was like, 140 characters, not this 280 whatever shit it is now. Yeah. Oh, Victor remembers. Yeah. Like, it was so odd. Like, it's just not how it works. Whatever. So, if you have not done this, go to gamingabs.com/intro sign up, all one word. That'll take you to a spreadsheet. Because it's year of the BSer, we want BSers to introduce episodes of our show. So you go over there, put in your name. You don't have to put in your real name if you don't want to. Put in your nickname if you have one and you want us to use, to just acknowledge you. And then put a link to the audio file. Or if you want to email us, you can do that too. That's fine. And then we're going to use it to introduce one of the episodes. 20 seconds is a sweet spot. If you go, a little longer, fine if it's original, maybe. If you want to stick to the script, that's cool. But yeah, if you haven't done that, please do. We've got, so many signups, and we got to do it for the whole year. So we're looking at 52 of them. We just kicked this off with the most recent. And, yeah, there you go. Want to bring that up. Secondly, Blade Runner RPG I mentioned. Gen Con attendance. All right, Gen Con attendance. I need your guesses. No Googling. What's your guess at Gen Con attendance this year, 2021? Put your numbers in the chat. What do you think the attendance was for Gen Con? Come on now. Doody 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 doo doody doody doo 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 doody doo doody doo 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 bomb bomb. Come on. All right, cool, Michael. I got a feeling some people have probably seen it. What's normal attendance? I will tell you that normal attendance, I'll give you that, has been as high as 65,000 people. 65, 70. At the peak. At the last in-person show prior to this year, 2019, they saw about 70,000 people. Duty. Mother Trebek. Oh, God. I can't even keep you guys on topic. 35. Do you're 40. Do you're 30. 35. 35 going once. 35 going twice. Yeah. Victor's right. 70K. For last year. So this year, 35K. Oh, come on. 35K. 35,000 attendees. Around 200 pop-up Gen Con events and retail stores. That's pretty good. I would like to see how those I don't know what those are like. I don't know anybody that went to one. Organizers also announced the final exhibitor count of 320 exhibitors, down 48%. Convention hall must have had a lot of room. The exhibit hall, a lot of elbow room, which is good, given the situation, I guess, right? Not good for Gen Con, good for maybe crowd. Some companies, including some of the largest exhibitors, announced that they would not participate back in May. Others continue to drop out until the last minute, leaving a number of empty booths around the exhibit hall. One thing that bothered me, and I mentioned this on Twitter on my personal account, was that there was no official policy on COVID. And I say official policy by going to Gen Con's policies. No mention of COVID. Somebody's like, I think they did a blog post. Yep, they did. I think they put it out on Twitter. Yep, they did. But if you go to their I went to literally Gen Con's website. Here it is, Gen Con, right? Yay, Gen Con. Gen Con Indy. Attendee info. Attendee info. Count info, badges, how to find events, convention map, housing guide, policies. Yeah, it's got to be there, right? Policies and show info. All right, fantastic. Here we go. Got the table of contents up here. Gen Con show policies, code of conduct. Be safe, play nice, be safe. No COVID. Right? No COVID. Play nice, have fun. Following are prohibited. Skateboards get a mention. That's what I'm talking about, Victor. You know where I'm going. Advertising. Security, costumes and weapons. All right, no bringing in real stuff. Real guns, weapons and props. Event spaces, lost and found. Anti-harassment policy. Come on. Registration information, payment, badges, children, 10 and under. Registration areas, on-site badge registration, event ticket. Lost and misplaced badges, refunds, badge refunds, liability, on-site show information, will call, customer service, special services, contact info. What? Sean, you obviously made a mistake. Somewhere in all of that verbiage has to be the word COVID. Let's take a look. Maybe I'm wrong. COVID. Control fine. If you see it way up at the top, I got COVID in there. Not one instance of COVID listed in this entire thing right here. Come on, what are you doing? Why? Programs. No. Host. Exhibitors? No. FAQ? Gotta do control fine. COVID. Not mentioned once. Nothing. Oh, there's a next. Nothing. Like, I was pretty disappointed. I did not go. I did not attend. Oh, this is Zendesk they use for their FAQ help desk stuff. Let's get back to their website. It was, and literally, I think if I find the blog, oh man, where is it? Latest blogs, which they just clicked there and I could go all the blog articles. Here we go. Trade Day, Gen Con Block Party. It's just, eesh. And somebody said, that's why I didn't go. Yeah, I can't even find it on the blog. I can't find the blog, first of all. It's gotta be under indie. I don't know where the hell this shit is. Exhibit hall. So one of the things that I did find was the policy. I did find the blog article somewhere on here at one point, and it did talk. Here it is, blog. And it did list a link to the convention center's policy. And the convention center's policy was that a mask mandate was not in place. It encouraged vendors and visitors to wear a mask. Here it is, health and wellness. Good hygiene. Come on, mask required. Where? Come on, man, I just want to read this thing. Here. Get some rest. Nutrition matters. Plan ahead. Check in yourself. There's COVID. Closest COVID testing facility is located here. Be mindful of yourself. That's not even the official announcement. Well, it is. It's the title, but I mean, come on, man. You are having 35 to 60,000 people. You got to put this shit out there. So people would get perturbed because they go in the convention or exhibit hall and nobody would, and there was an exhibitor that wasn't wearing a mask. Somebody on Twitter put up a stink. Hey, I'm at Gen Con. Hey, Gen Con, I'm at this booth. Here's the booth number. Took a picture of the people at the booth. They haven't been wearing their mask the whole time. Can you enforce your deal and tell them to put on their mask? Hey, Gen Con, this is the second time I'm hitting you up. It's the second day. They're still not wearing their mask. Well, the reason they're not enforcing it is because it's probably not an official policy. And, frankly, this gets a little wicked into the weeds because it's hard to enforce. You got to call the police, to ask them to leave. People throw shit fits. I don't know. It's a whole mess. We hit their word count for the website. You guys are hilarious. There was a mention on a page you just flew past. Was there? It's probably in the blog articles. I don't know. Health and wellness, right? Required. I went to that article. I don't know. So anyways, not a super spreader. Didn't hear a lot about people getting sick from Gen Con, but nonetheless, I have to think, God, I hope Gamehole's doing something. Don't let me down, Alex. That's all I got to say. COVID policy. It's right there on the main page. Bam. From the newsletter. COVID policy. Although, it's probably got to be, hopefully they link to it inside the website as well. But here it is. COVID policy. Media, here it is. It's what they emailed out. So they just took the email and plopped it in there. And I think this is a link to this email. Yeah, this is actually the email they sent. So it's the policy. They call it a policy. Here we go. If you are planning on attending the show, you will need to follow all the rules and conditions set forth in our policies, which are available here online. Here's the policies. Here, boom. I knew Alex wouldn't let me down. I knew it. Gamehole Con policies, refund credit policy, COVID-19 policy. Boom, here, right here. Boom. Damn it. Yeah, you got to have proof of vaccine if you're going to Gamehole Con. That would suck if you drove or flew 1,000 miles and didn't have proof. Because my boy's a lawyer. I don't think he's going to let shit fly. So, great. Like it, don't like it, it's there. Read it, love it, learn it, know it. Tell you to even stay home if you don't feel well. If you can get to Gamehole, it's great. It's smaller, of course, than Gen Con. But these guys really are passionate about running it in a positive way, in a way that isn't gamer. Are they susceptible to mistakes? Absolutely. Do things maybe go awry with event registration? Sure. I would say on the grand scheme of things, it's pretty well-oiled machine. Like, there isn't going to be gamer rage when dealing with GameholeCon. So if you can get there, great. I am not going to be there this year because of personal reasons centered around COVID. It just isn't in the cards for me. It's not a hill I want to die on. However, I do not dissuade you from going if you feel comfortable and safe doing so. So a personal preference, leaving it up to you. Just because I'm not going doesn't mean that you don't need to look in between the lines for anything. It's a personal thing on Sean's family's end. Okay. So if you don't go, make it a reason for yourself, and not me influencing you to go or not. But yeah, it's a good show. As it stands right now, we do have a mask mandate in Dane County. It's till October something, but it ends the beginning, like maybe next week, or I should say ends. The current one ends. It had ended a few weeks ago, but they extended it. So we'll see. Madison's a long haul from Maine. Dorigo. We've had people from Maine come. One of our good friends, Roger's up there in Maine. He's been to GameholeCon. I don't know if he's coming this year. He's been there, I want to say, twice. But I agree. It is all, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Also helps if you can get a direct flight and all that other stuff, and there's maybe things closer to home. Totally get it. But, if you can make it, then great. And if you can't, that's okay too. It's a good con. Lots of positiveness. And frankly, I got to give Alex a lot of props too. Not that we haven't before, but the thing was when they first started, 1, 2, and 3, probably 4. Yes, they are run by a lot of white guys. I was a little nervous that it would be D&D Con and a lot of middle-aged white guy attendees. They have a children's track. They support LGBTQ plus. They've had trans people, like Alex has literally had a trans person walk up to him and say, you know what? I was a little nervous coming. I've been to cons where I felt out of place, or I just didn't feel welcome, and I came here and felt none of that. Like true testimonial. So my the reason I bring this up is because they've done a good job in facilitating different types of gamers to come and play there and different types of games. So sometimes I think we get face value. Maybe we see the organizers or the reputation or somebody's tweeted something and we go, that must be, a complete shit show, or they don't like diversity. It's not the case with these guys. So they try to keep their guest list. I think in the early years, for sure, it might have been like, well, I don't know about this show, but I can tell you that it is not like that. So, all walks of life are welcome at GameholeCon. Let's see, their guests. Teos, Peter, William, Adam, Barb. Game designer. Levi, Dave Cook, Dave Ewalt, Finch, Forbeck, Alan, Claire Hoffman, Latia Jacques, Christopher Lindsay. Some of these guys are repeat offenders. Like they're Tom Lamo always comes. Like he likes coming to GameholeCon, so it's pretty easy sell to Tom. So some of these folks have been there multiple times. Crystal. Let's see. Satine will be there. Stefan, Elise is a frequenter. Monica, she's local. David Walters. Tony Brill. Yeah. So if you don't know any of these folks, look them up. I don't know how COVID's affecting their guest list, but they did have. I thought they had. Did they have Traveler Guy? Maybe he's not coming now. Mark Miller, was he on here? I thought Mark was scheduled to come. Maybe he's not now. Yeah, I don't see him. What else? Indiana Jones. Release date. July 29th, 2022. We'll see. They're moving all kinds of dates. Jesus, man. When's the hell James Bond coming out? They said next month, but hopefully that's done. Indiana Jones, man. I don't know. It's kind of like The Matrix. I'm souped up. I'm psyched for Resurrections. I'm really psyched for that one. I don't know why. I always liked, I get excited, and if it flops, like the second and third movies of the Matrix series, you bet your damn ass I was going to see those and probably buy them, regardless. Do I watch 2 and 3 as often as 1? No, of course not. Indiana Jones, same thing. 1 and 3. You can't. Maybe the odd ones are the best ones. Star Trek, right? It's the opposite of Star Trek. So we'll see Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford, man, he's getting up there. So we'll see. I don't know the premise. Will continue as the archaeologist and world traveler. They're trying to speculate on what it's going to be. They don't know. Yeah, the details are very thin. They're trying to speculate. Just bullshit in here. This will be the first film in the franchise that does not feature Spielberg sitting in the director's chair. It's going to be James Mangold, who did Ford versus Ferrari and Logan. He will be aboard as an executive producer this time. The cast is going to be Mads Mikkelsen. My wife loves that guy. Phoebe Waller-Bridge of Fleabag. Thomas Kretschmann, Avengers Age of Ultron. Boyd Holbrook of Logan. Shawnette Renee Wilson of The Resident. Toby Jones of Captain America, The First Avenger. And Antonio Banderas. He's too sexy. Antonio Banderas. We'll see. I don't know. I'm less optimistic about the Indiana Jones one than the Matrix one. I don't know why. Probably because, shit, man. At least Indiana Jones has come out in the last... When's the last Indiana Jones movie? It's probably more recent than the last Matrix movie, right? BSerCon. I need to get that on the calendar. I'm not sure how to do it. I'm going to need some help. So I might put out a call to folks that want to help. Putting up a spreadsheet, letting people sign up, putting a bunch of Discord rooms up, where start time, end time, game, rule system, location, players. I don't know. Gamehole Con is not always in October, but it has been for the last couple years. They used to be the first weekend of November, but they are at the mercy of the UW Badger football home games. So one year it was on October 31st. People were not on Halloween. And they did an actual Halloween thing with all the booths and any of the vendors that wanted to partake. And they opened it up to the public. So people could bring in their kids and go booth to booth. And Gaming BS handed out big candy bars, and it's pretty good. So this year it's a little earlier, to answer your question. So I'm guessing that October may be a thing. I don't know if it's gone as far into the second week in November. I think it might have, when the first is like on a weekend. I think they've had it 6th, 7th, and 8th, as late as the 6th, 7th, and 8th of November. I think this is the earliest it's been is this year for Gamehole Con. But BS or Con, January, last weekend. I don't know if I should run it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know if we use Warhorn. If you're not familiar with Warhorn, it's, I think, pretty much free. Tabletop events, I'm guessing there's a cost some kind with using tabletop events. Cost may not be bad. Excuse me. And it's not tabletopevents.com, because that's not. I think it's tabletop events, right? Tabletop.events, Sean. Okay. So we could, Oshkosh has new Game of Palooza in here. So I could use this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how crazy we want to get. It's just making a decision and going, hey. So I think, in a nutshell, to do an online con, excuse me for the ignorance, a place for people to sign up and find the games, a place for GMs to play, to run the game. So Discord is a no-brainer, or their Zoom license of choice, Hangouts, whatever. A place for communication to take place, like, hey, my stuff's not working, I can't get there, I need to contact the game master or whatever. And that's it. Maybe a place online to hang out, probably the lounge, like we'll just set up a Discord lounge. I don't know. Am I not looking deep enough? Am I missing something? Place to find the game, place to list the game, and a place to play the game, along with the details that go into all that. So, Victor, it is, so we have the gaming moot, right? If you go to gamingnbs.com/games, it takes you to a forum post, and in that forum post, it explains to you kind of the purpose of the gaming moot. And in that forum post is a spreadsheet where people can list games that they're willing to run, and games that, and people can sign up for those games. It's kind of GM driven, kind of supposed to be more player driven, right? Like, hey, yeah, I know that you like this game really a lot. If I get 4 people, will you run it for us? It's kind of takes 2 to tango, right? Got to have the players to play, the GM that wants to run it. So it's bringing that together. The problem is that a lot of people are having a hard time scheduling stuff. Like, hey, I want to run this game. I can't run it till the fall. Okay, here's my dates of availability. The 4 people that want to play it, not all 4 can play during the time that the game master can run it. So I'm thinking, why don't we just hash all that shit out in one weekend, if possible? I don't know if it's multiple games. Like if somebody wanted to run a 3 to 4 session arc, they could do it, but we could get more people to play if we just said, hey, we're going to set a weekend aside, mark your calendars, tell folks you're busy that weekend because you're going to play some games with other BSers. So it is an attempt to get other BSers to play with other folks in the community and play games that they don't get a chance to play. So I think that's like an underlying theme of many conventions. But that's kind of the rationale of like, let's do this thing. Plus, it's the year of the BSer, man. We're going to call BSer Con. And we'll just make that happen. And you know what? The nice thing is people can move their stuff around. Like, hey, I want to play in your game. I want to play in your game. Can we do, which maybe you schedule yours here and I'll schedule mine here. What do you think? Okay, sure. Like, I don't even, that's fine. People move games around a little bit. You got to be cautious of players that sign up for your game and then you start moving them around all over the place. But, you could do that ahead of time. Like, hey, if you run yours at like noon because you're in this time zone and I'm in that time zone and I want to get in your game, then what do you think? Sure, okay. Then you're guaranteed at least one player each. And then the rest sign up. Yeah. It's unfortunate because there's been some talk in our Discord recently, even just like in the last week, where there's people that are explaining how they're having some difficulties with their game group. And pretty elaborate, like this is kind of what's going on. And just, huge amounts of info. What do I do? Play styles differ. Hey, I'm getting burned out on this campaign that you've been running for 3, 6 months, 12 months. Can we just end it? What do I do as a game master? Do I just end it? Well, who are you playing with? Why do they want you to end it? Is it something new shiny coming along? How far along are you in the adventure, comparatively speaking? Like, do you have an end goal? And when would that have been? Can you move it up and just finish it? Here's my take. I would just end it if the players aren't into it because it's just going to end up in disaster. So there's a lot of that talk going on. And there's even talk of, my game group might be on indefinite hiatus. And so, when those things happen, people start bailing on the hobby. Not indefinitely, maybe, hopefully not. But I'm telling you, man, there are a lot of good gamers in the gaming and BS community. I'm playing with 4 of them in Forbidden Lands. Tomorrow I kick off session 0 with another 4 I've never played with. And I think it's going to be great. And I think they all have an understanding of what our kind of community embraces as far as philosophy, game styles, things of that nature, right? So not everybody by any means, but I think that I would be hard pressed that somebody would join a game and I'd be like, oh, this person just does not fit in well. There's always somebody that chemistry could be off for sure. But I think if other people played with other gamers, even on one shot, specifically one shots, like give them a trial run. Like, hey, we're all play. We don't know each other. We'll play, see what happens. Oh, I like playing with that person and that person and that. I like playing with everybody. And then eventually a game group comes out of it. It's going to be online mostly, right? Because a lot of people aren't living next to each other necessarily. But I don't know. That's kind of the goal. So BSR kind of thought, I could have BSR kind of every 6 months. Like it wouldn't be that hard once we had workflows down and stuff that was in place and Formality wise, I think it can get as formal as it needs to be. Like we could get into, I got to get, a harassment policy in place. I can probably borrow stuff from other cons. Game hall. Have mods is probably going to be important. But at the same time, it's also going to be, we're helping facilitate it. Here's the thing. I want the benefit, not the liability, right? It's just meant to be playing with other people. It didn't have to go this way. No, during no Forbidden Land sign up. I actually, the way I picked the players for the Forbidden Lands game was I wanted to try it out. I had played with, I think, everybody from the group except Wayne. Wayne, I think he might be still here, but Wayne was the only one I had not played with. But I played with all 3 of the other players, and all 4 of them had listed that they wanted to play Forbidden Lands. So I literally just said, I'm going to go and see who wants to play this game, and I just picked them off. There might have been 1 or 2 others, but I hadn't played with them. So the prerequisite, I played with them. Harrigan didn't turn out to be too bad. Phil is in the chat. He didn't turn out to be too bad. So on my first go around. Forbidden Lands, I have considered running it with multiple groups. Not West Marches style. Well, West Marches could be a thing. But the problem is the West Marches game and Forbidden Lands, the way my schedule would work and the way I would foresee it going is you'd have to get a group together that would commit to playing at the same time. Like whatever that would be. The group cannot change. If you guys played once a month, fine. Get 4 players, played once a month, 3 players. There's got to be a amount of player minimum. And they got to play consistently. Because here's when things break down is when you want to play and you sign up, but the rest of the group doesn't. If you have it, like Hobbs will tell me, well, you're doing it wrong. Jason Hobbs from Hobbs and Friends runs West Marches, Kalmata kind of thing. So what he typically does, he'll just, everybody's at base camp. Who do you get out of base camp to go with you? And I'm, I think, right? Because I haven't played in his Kalmata game. So if they don't finish or they do finish, maybe not a big deal. I don't know. And it may be short. Like you go out, there's an encounter, you deal with it. Forbidden Lands tends to move slower, depending on the group. But I say move slower where, like Harrigan in the gang, like Harrigan has his character's got a groin injury and she's blind right now, and it lasts for like a day, and it's been 2 sessions that she's been hurt on the move piece and blindness. We're going into the 3rd session where she's been hurt and blind, and they're only into like the 2nd quarter of the day. So she still has like a couple quarters to go before that goes away. So it is a little bit of a nuance. And if groups run into each other, I guess I'll tackle that when I get to it. But because it's a hex crawl base, it's I think pretty doable. The timing piece would be kind of, if one group decides to stay in one hex longer and the day doesn't progress because they're doing more micro stuff, and the other group is like, I'm trekking through 4 hexes at a time and 2 days have gone by and we're like that because we've gone through 2 hexes and we just roll through them at the macro, then counter's going to get off. But I don't know if that would matter because frankly, I don't know. You're not wearing a watch. You don't have a cell phone. if you're keeping track of days, great. But do people keep track of days while you're out wandering the world? As rough and as the Forbidden Lands? You may think you know what day it is. Maybe you lost track. You were below ground for too long. You came out and you're not sure what day it is. You know. But I have, I know a lot of people are like, hey, Forbidden Lands, somebody brought it up recently. Shoot, it was somebody in the community, I think. Damn it. Where they pitched it to their group and they were just like, no, I don't want to play it. Might have been just somebody on Twitter, actually. And their game players just were like, nah, I don't want to play that game. So the GM, all on board, players, nah. So you get two camps, definitely. I think they either appreciate it or they don't. And the ones that don't appreciate Forbidden Lands are the ones that are, I would say, heroic. If you want to play a heroic role-playing game, fantasy-based, and you like optimizing your character because you want to be you want to limit mortality, great. Then Forbidden Lands is probably not that game. Even though they're not, the group that I'm running, death isn't facing them every day. It is, but not. They know they could die. But we don't have, it's not a funnel, DCC funnel, where it's just known and it has a reputation of you're going to go in with 4 or 6 tunes and you're going to come out with 1 or 2. Getting hurt is kind of funny. Not funny. It's oh my God, there are funny, laughable moments because if you don't laugh, you might cry. But, if you have a mishap, you're going to break a foot, a leg, Harrigan's character pulled a groin. Their movement, they could still move. They're not incapacitated. But if they do a move, literal move action, using the move skill, that's a problem. So they're not running, and running requires move, blah, stuff like that. She's blind because she cast the spell and had a spell mishap. It's not permanent. Could be. Not, it isn't right now, but hold up, you're blind permanently. You're permanently blind unless you get healed or something like that. Some folks that play in fantasy games hate that shit. I don't want to be, nerfed. They want to get hurt and then, hey, healer. Just a different style, different game. So I think that's the biggest problem. I don't think game masters have a hard time buying into it. Oh, this sounds cool. There's a method to this. I like it. It's got this, got that. It's the players. The players have to understand this is you are in the Ravenlands, and it is tough, and there's been a blood mist that's been around for 300 years, and you are first ones venturing out to stake a claim. And it's dangerous. You're going to come across things and people and who knows what else. And you're going to explore certain things. That is kind of the gist, man. That's what I think I miss a lot in some of these other games. You're in Waterdeep. It's this big city. Great, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my preference right now. You just never know what's going to happen with in Forbidden Lands. And the nice thing as a game master is you can run it true, right, to the books. I got the books right here, right? You can take everything in the lore right out of here and, implement it and all that. Or you can start kind of going on your own and implementing weird things that just, you'll never, these guys could go, wait a minute, Sean just threw us this thing. I read all the books. I never read anything about this in any of the books. Nope. Keep it thematic, right? But you guys, one thing I'm always nervous is just boasting about Forbidden Lands all the time. We've done 2-3 episodes on it. Brett even said, hey, we should maybe do an update on your game. I'm I think, no. I don't. We're gonna start losing listeners because all Sean talks about is Forbidden Lands. I'm done with that. I don't care. So, it's a good game. I love it. Is it the only thing I'll ever play fantasy wise? No, of course not. But I do. It also helps. If I ever wanted to run OSE, for example, I love OSE. I like the format. Diogo wrote a nice adventure for it. I haven't written or read it yet, but I've heard it's good. It's an Emmy award winning. But I think even having played Forbidden Lands helps me think of things differently as it relates to a fantasy RPG and what I might want to find in it despite the rules. So if in OSE, what do I want to run? Well, I'm going to run something very similar. Maybe it's Hot Springs Islands. The Dark of Hot Springs Island gets a lot of talk. In our Discord, we got, AWOL Trooper that's running that, and he's using DCC. Mirko has run it. I think he might be using DCC. I don't remember. Forbidden Lands podcast. That would be, I think you could do it. I don't think you have to have 100 or 300 episodes either. Like there's some niches with actual plays, even podcasts, I think, where it's like, what if you just did a Forbidden Lands podcast? And I think what happens with some of these podcasters that get into, hey, I want to talk about D&D or I want to talk about X or Y, is Brett and I are two guys. We've always wanted to be two guys sitting at a bar at a convention, and you walk up and you hear us talking about something and you sit and kind of inject yourself because you have a certain opinion about what we may be discussing. That is literally the premise of our show. That is like what we've wanted to foster. We are not intellectuals. We're not game theory folks, although we've maybe dabbled in like, oh, this is like a simulationist. We're not Forge people. But having said that, the banter allows us to get to 300 plus episodes. It really does. And some of them are stinkers, right? Not everything we put out there is gold. Much of what comes out of it, even random encounters, can be. Because that may even keep that episode afloat. Like somebody wrote in, like, oh, that is super good. The rest of the episode is trash. But going back to like Forbidden Lands, if somebody just said, hey, we're going to do a Forbidden Lands show and it's going to be 10 episodes and this is what we're going to cover and it's only going to be 10 and it's done. That's all right. That's okay. You can get downloads. You don't have, it's evergreen as long as the game kind of exists and it doesn't change. Right? Like Star Wars is a unique one because it's had like 4 different renditions. Although the Star Wars guys at D20 Radio, Order 66 podcast, I mean, they went on hiatus when Star Wars was kind of like up in the air. They covered Saga and then it was kind of done. And then Fantasy Flight Games was going to release it and they were like, fire up the show again. And then they went into, Fantasy Flight Games and all the stuff and content that they produced. And they went into all the books and all the rules and yada, yada, yada. I don't know if they're still going. I haven't listened to them in a while, but something to be said about just a show on a specific game. I don't think that's bad. I think there's a market for it. So we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I think you can get into what happens is if you started doing Forbidden Lands and you started getting into the history, the stories, timeline, and then you got into the mechanics, and then maybe the supplements, you get through some of those, you might feel at an end. But the thing is that there could be crossover, and then you start getting into, well, it started out as a Forbidden Lands game, and now we talk about all OSR products, or all, Hex Crawl, back, we like Hot Springs Island. It's not Forbidden Lands, but it's great, and, you can use it for this, and we implemented that into Forbidden Lands, and then, well, let's talk about Hot Springs Island, and then it becomes Hot Spring Island focused on a Forbidden Lands podcast. And then somebody might tune in and go, wait a minute, I don't want to listen to You know the deal. Open forum podcasting. So I didn't have a ton to talk about, obviously. Some of the things. I have the thing pinned at the top of the chat. You can see what's the latest RPG talk you've come across. Not to get into the Paizo stuff, but I know Paizo's CEO has put out a couple statements trying to make things better over there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Paizo's had some kerfuffle, shall I say, about how management has treated its employees and things of that nature. And some people have come out and divulged some of the things. Yeah. So the RPG hobby can be full of drama, and it could be filled with drama. I'll just say that. Some people are like, ugh, keep that out of here. And then some people are like, well, hey, I'm interested to know more about it. But I sit on the fence on that one. I'm on the depends guy, because it's good to know about it for a variety of different reasons, like, the Zach Smith stuff, Adam Coble. I mean, it's good things to know, maybe, but then getting sucked into it. I mean, there's people that dedicate their whole Twitter lives to some of this stuff. It's like, whoa, holy cow. I have a ton to talk about 2+ hours in, right? And here's the thing with any of this, and I say specifically to more Paizo than some of the other things, right? Because there's bad actors. There's a lot of places people work that suck ass. There just is. Management sucks in a lot of places. That doesn't give Paizo a free pass by any means, but I also don't work at Paizo. I've never worked there. And my exposure to Paizo is my own. And I've talked a little bit about it only from having that Facebook group that I tried to hand over, and some of the interactions I've had with them from that perspective, and Jason Bullman made a convention, and but I have never engaged in any long, in-depth talks to anybody. So I don't really have a ground to stand on when doing that. There's always three sides to a story. So it's not to take away from anything anybody says, but I wasn't there. And I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in between. So I'm sure there's some fault from Paizo, and I'm sure that what the folks have said is some of it may be true or embellished, or misconstrued. I don't know. One thing that did kind of made me scratch my head was, so if you see the hashtag, you can just go to Twitter and go hashtag Paizo accountability. There was a stream on Paizo's official Twitch channel. And the people that were streaming the Pathfinder game had hashtag Paizo accountability on their overlay. It would be like us granting you access to our Twitch stream and then saying, fix the broken things, gaming and BS. Like, what? It was so bizarre. I'm like, does Paizo even know that this is out there on their own channel? And it may be Paizo's way of saying, okay, we know we've got some problems. You can put it on the overlay. We don't care. We're addressing them. And again, if you're not familiar with some of the nuances, Jessica Price, who has no problems expressing whatever she wants. and had a long thread about some of the things. And she worked for Paizo, and she's witnessed some of the things that had come up. A couple people, one person had been, what spurred this was one person got fired, apparently. And I say apparently because one side said she was fired, one says nothing. Like Paizo will say they split. And then the person that reported to the individual who departed the company was not happy, and I think they chose to leave as well. So anyways, Jessica went into a lot of behind the scenes at Paizo and her experience there, and a lot of the things that she had kind of kept to herself was because there were some friends of hers, associates, former colleagues that she had worked with that she didn't want to kind of put out there and expose them for retribution within the company. So she kind of kept quiet for a little while, and she chose not to and put out a big threat out there, slamming the CEO and some of the things that she had encountered. One was keeping the workplace clean. Apparently the office was filthy and things of that nature. So you want to read about it, go into it, go online, check it out. And then there were other people like Casey Stevens. He's been there a little while. He says, yep, there are some things that she said that is absolutely, yep. And then there are some things that I don't agree with, and, I could see both sides and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people were like, if you are a fan of Pathfinder and that gets you to a good place and you appreciate playing the game, great. But right off the company, like in other words, fall in love with the game. Don't fall in love with the company. Some of us that have been part of corporate America, and I say corporate America is in bigger companies, not 5 to 6 people, big companies, with formal HR departments and legal and marketing and finance, and like you got a lot of wheels moving. Mileage may vary. Like, somebody says, well, HR's purpose is to protect the company. Yeah, sure. They won't say if they fired her or not. Right. There's a lot of companies that won't tell somebody that they were fired or not. Sometimes it's just etiquette. Sometimes it's legal. Sometimes it's policy, whatever the reason. Hey, man, that's capitalism in corporate America. Company chooses to do that or doesn't do it, that's, I was part of an HR organization for 6 years. Can yell at a wall. So, anyways. So there's that. That was probably the biggest that's out there for drama-wise. The CEO did put out a couple statements, put out one, people complained, it wasn't enough, came out with a second statement on their blog. What's he going to say? It's all false? No, of course not. Comes out diplomatically and says, hey, do we need to change some things? Sure. Are we perfect? No. Can we do better? Yes. Again, I don't work for Paizo, and I haven't met any of them. So, but I can assure you, Paizo is not the only place that probably could use help for a variety of different reasons. We'll see. We will see. I don't keep up with Paizo. I don't have a lot of their products. Pathfinder's a good game for the folks that love it. What have you. Is there a way I can hold them accountable? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Hold their feet to the fire. Don't buy their product. It's not the first, won't be the last. Do what you feel is best for you. Yeah. that's the way companies are in general, Victor says. Yeah. And you know what? There's people that can leave the company, right? Because some people will say, well, just leave the company. If it's that bad, just leave the company. Well, it's not that easy. It's like, oh, you don't like America? Move to a different country. It's not that easy. You don't like Texas? Move to a different state. Like, it's not that easy. They say, as they say in Facebook terms back in the day, it's complicated. But other than that, I don't know what else is a brewing in the gamosphere that I can mention. Excuse me. I thought Brett was going to post his game. I haven't seen it yet. I know he's going to be looking for players. Don't know when he's going to run it. I'm very interested to see how Brett runs this game. Me personally, I am interested as well. Because I know Brett a little bit. And is it definitely a different style? I mean, he may shit can the whole half of the adventure. That scenario, I have no idea. So we'll see. Some people could just leave. Most don't have that choice. Yeah. Yep. It's not that easy. So I think I'm going to sign off. Sweet Victor, counting on you. Even if it's one game. We have folks in the UK that want us not to eliminate them. And I'm like, we'll run 24 hours. They probably just don't want to maybe play with the same folks, like I mentioned last week. So, if we get an early game and some of them can join. I'm going to run Forget About It for sure. I got to need 5 people. They just came out the 5th anniversary, and they tweaked it. Eric Lamoureux from Just Your Imagination. It's a great one shot. I've talked about it numerous times. There are things that I like about the previous version. I think they tried to tighten things up a little bit in this one. There are things that I'm just going to throw right out. Because I like running it much on the fly. So I'll be running that. It'll be fun. And there's a surprise in it. So, can't tell you. So thanks for coming by. Great stream. How did they like using YouTube? I did. I liked it. I have no problem with it. Chat works fine. Everything's going smoothly. There's no follow alerts or, hey, thanks for following or subscribing. So, that's the deal because we're not at that point yet. Some folks missing from the chat, unfortunately, probably wondering where I am on Twitch. I honestly, at one point, thought I'll join Twitch at 10 minutes to the hour, tell everybody, hey, it's not going to be here today. It's over on YouTube. So if you want, go over there. I'm going to get a few that are like, hey, where were you on Saturday? On YouTube. I didn't know. I think I posted it on the forums and Discord. I didn't post it on Twitter. But some of us, I think Sergeant Dan, he may only follow us on Twitch. So when we go live, he bops in there. And he is not a frequenter of our Discord or our forums. So he's going to be like, hey. So, that's okay until things start to catch on. It was easy to set up. I did this because if I do the show on Monday, I wanted to see if it worked, if I ran into any hitches. And it should be just fine. Yeah, that's what I might do too, Victor. It's just hey, just so you know, then change the keys and then restream to YouTube and call it a day. As long as somebody either goes on there when I launch, which I would because they'd get the notification and they showed up in a timely fashion. And if I moved, as long as they pulled up the most recent video and watched and said, hey, we're not live right now because we moved over here, so go over there. So we'll see. It might just be connecting is all. So I think on Monday, we're going to use YouTube. We're going to be here Monday night, 8 p.m. Central Time. First live stream on YouTube for Gaming and BS. Brett and I are talking about something I can tell you right now will be the end goal in mind. So after last week's episode, Brett's like, I don't know what I want to talk about. I might need some help. And we started talking about something like the Forbidden Lands game and saying, here's where these guys are. I want to get them to X and Y destination because they can experience some different things. And he's like, oh, I like this. I know where this is going. So in his notes, this is what he states. Location encounters are sometimes a bit of a special beast. So how in depth do we make them? How big? How much time does that party want to spend there? How many game sessions are we ready to have at this location? So in other words, if I sent the Forbidden Lands guys to a site, how big a site should I make it? Do I want them to stay there for a while? Do I want it to make a destination adventure? Like, what does that look like? I think that's what kind of spurred this in Brett's brain. So he says, Sean and I got to talking about building and using dungeons and other such locations where we need to make sure it's only as long as it needs to be and that we keep the end goal in mind. So let's talk about some examples and see if we can get to a point of some sort here. One of the things I mentioned was like, I don't want to do the mega dungeon. Let me rephrase that. I don't want the players to fall into a mega dungeon without knowing it's a mega dungeon, potentially. So if it's a mega dungeon and they like, hey, we set up camp here and we just go in there every, day, and every day we go a little further, and then when it gets to this point, we just go back to our base camp. Great. Giving them an option to get out and done and doing something else. 5-room dungeon is also appealing. Like 5 rooms, it's done, explored. Something along those lines. So he goes, Sean's game wants a dungeon encounter that could lead to town or maybe a place the PCs could use as a stronghold, whatever. And then Brett's game, group goes into a dwarven dungeon and Brett realized they were getting bored, so he had to cut the action in the big encounter at the end as quick as was logical so that the players could get there and learn what they came to learn. The idea of building and modifying a location and encounter on the fly. So what happens if, going back to even some of the themes that are being discussed in our Discord, what happens if you get into an adventure and you're just like, this is boring, I don't want to do this. And you as the game master have like this elaborate plan or big bad evil encounter at the end, but it's 3 levels down and how do you adjust? Do you just move it? So I think those are some of the things that we want to talk about on Monday. Having said that, not that you guys need to know, but Sean has a procedure on Monday. Nothing serious. It's just you get this when you hit a certain mileage. I'll just say that. So if everything goes well and I don't feel like dog shit, then we'll be on Monday, no big deal, scheduled time, 8 p.m. Central Time. However, if I am like not in the mood, then we may either postpone. And if we do postpone, it is going to be a while because Brett said I think the earliest he could get back on the mics would be that Friday, next Friday. Or we'll just shit can the week. So in case something comes up, you guys know this. Everybody else is not aware, but just giving you a heads up. We'll more than likely be here. I don't see an issue, but just doing things when you don't feel really, really good is not, you guys aren't going to like it because I'll be like complaining the whole show about how I don't feel good. So anyways, I hope, I would be interested to know, flipping it to you, what you thought of YouTube live. AWOL, dude, you're just making it. We're about to fold up shop. At least you found us. But I would be interested to know what you thought of YouTube Live. Not big deal, same, better, worse, I don't know. Yeah, dude, man, I've been on since 8. It's 2.5 hours, AWOL. Did you go over to Twitch and go, hey, nobody answered the door? So this will be up for people to take a look at. I'm glad, Farty. Appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Let me know. You can do it in the chat, or you can just hit me up as normal. Yeah, no hiccups. I don't know, ads maybe? I don't think there's no ads in live. Even a pre-roll, I don't think they serve you an ad, which is kind of interesting, right? Could be wrong, but yeah, I thought it went all right. So we'll see. I got to prep for my gaming session 0 tomorrow. And I will hydrate. I got to prep for my Delta Green game tomorrow. I think I have everything I need in place. It's going to be fun. We'll record it. I'll put it out there. I think it's going to be in a separate feed. I think if you want it, you got to go get it. I don't know if I want to mix it in with our standard show. And it'll put us on another album cover in Apple Podcasts. Like I could see Gaming NBS RPG podcast, the Gaming NBS project, Delta Green experiment. Insert another actual play here, another actual play there. I would have no problem flooding Apple Podcasts with Gaming NBS shows, content. That's cool. That's one thing those guys are missing out by putting it all in one, is that proliferation of multiple album arts. And I could make it all under one network. We could just say we're our own network. And here's all our different shows. So we'll see. And we've got the ability to do that on our website too. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being a fan of the show. Thanks for being a great community member. I will let you go. See you hopefully on Monday. This channel, set it up right after this. So if you subscribe, it'll say, hey, this guy's going live. Or if you come to a channel, say, hey, this next show is going to be at 8 o'clock Central Time, U.S. Otherwise, you can find Gaming NBS, the audio show with Brett and I, at your favorite podcatcher of choice. And remember, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you later.